So today I'll show you on how to further disassemble your Makarov. We already moved the firing pin, the safety selector. Now we're going to remove the extractor. So there's a small tiny metal bit which is under spring tension to remove the extractor. We're just going to hook in here, push it down and lift the extractor up, or we're just going to shake it out. It's kind of easier. So I'm going to go between here, detent the spring. And this guy just falls out if you shake it. It's the easiest way to do it. And we get the extractor spring. Remove these two guys, put them aside. Now when it comes to the rest of the Makarov, we will have to disassemble the grip first. What we need for this is just a flathead screwdriver. Remove the screw on the back side. One screw holding the grip to the rest of the frame. You can just tilt it off and remove it as so. And then the next part is going to be to remove this spring here that actually is part of the trigger and the reset of the shear. So for this we're going to have to push this retaining clip down. This was held in place with the screw as we just seen before. So we're gonna, this guy's kind of stiff, I just need to wiggle it left, right, until it pops off. Some older, more worn in Makarovs might be easier, or you can just remove it by hand, but this is the only way I can do it on this guy. And whew, it comes flying. So this is the retaining pin, and those are the springs that interact with the rest of the trigger assembly. So we remove this guy too. Now we have the sear that has a little spring here, and we're gonna have to lift it off into this direction to remove the rest. So we're gonna grab something pointy here and just lift the spring off of this ridge. So this guy, face it towards the camera. So now, as you can see, hopefully the spring is off its little ridge here. If the camera would focus, that would be great. Yeah, here. And now we can tilt this whole thing until there's a flat side here, and move it till the flat side is in the right spot, so you can just lift it out, which is about, should be about here. Yeah, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Maybe it needs some help. Just grab it, and there you go. You can remove this and remove the ejector slash slide stop. And it's looking pretty good already. We have the trigger guard in this position, so there's nothing holding the trigger other than this little pin here. For this we need to remove the hammer first. Just tilt it, same procedure. There's a flat side, you can lift it out, and now pull the trigger basically, and you will be able to remove the trigger bar and remove the trigger. So this is as far as you want to go usually when you take apart your Makarov for a deep clean. Do not have the tools to remove the barrel, but if you have that, there sure is another video on the internet that will show you how to do that. Furthermore, there's a spring here for the trigger guard. It is kind of a pain to remove it. You do not really have to remove it other than anything's broken. You can clean it, as far as I can tell, good enough from here. So this is how you remove all the nice tiny bits of your Makarov pistol, and we're gonna put it back together. Okay, so now we're gonna put the whole thing back together. We're gonna grab the trigger, put it in here, hold it so it doesn't fall out, get the trigger bar, link it with the trigger, Get it up in there, and it's important that this part that rotates is on the frame and not looking out down here. Now we're gonna add the hammer. Wiggle it into its position if it feels like it, which it doesn't right now. Okay, there you go. I shouldn't press the trigger, otherwise it won't get in there. Just realized. Okay, and now this part's up here. Hammer is back. We're gonna get the mainspring, shove it up in there. Here it's important to check that you can see if I pull the trigger, the whole thing's interacting as intended. I can cock the hammer, I see the trigger moving, so I know everything's aligned properly. We're gonna add the mainspring retainer clip, whatever you're gonna call it. This guy is giving me a hard time usually. I'm just gonna do this off camera. Okay, now the clip is up in here, holding the mainspring intact, in place. Those two holes are aligned, and we're good to go. I'm gonna grab our ejector / slide stop, drop it in here. There's a hole in the part and in the frame, so you should be able to see through here. Align it. Grab your next part. Make sure that the spring is on the left side, so it's in this direction. Put in those freshly aligned holes. Wiggle it in. Sometimes it needs some force to get it in there. There you go. So now disconnector's in here. I'm going to rotate it backwards as far as it goes. Someone's hanging on to something. Yeah, there you go. Rotate it backwards, and you see you have that little spring. I'm gonna have to hook it up back on here, so we're gonna lift it up, put it in its place. As you can see now here, this little guy is where he's supposed to be. Next part is gonna be reattaching our grip. First we can do some function testing, so now we can see the whole thing's working as intended. Reinstall the grip. Get your screw for the grip. Tighten it down. There you go. Okay, wonderful. So the next step is going to be I'm going to put the frame away, reinstalling our extractor. For this we need to drop the spring back in here. And I'm going to have to push it down with something. I'm taking a small screwdriver. There's this cutout, so this is what's going to be down here. We're going to kind of hold the slide like so. I have my thumb to guide the piece. I'm going to push down on the spring and hopefully push it down, drop the piece in there and kind of rotate it. And there you go, it's now back in there. The extractor is sitting in its place. So next part is the firing pin, as we've seen. Drop it in there, make sure it's rotated so the cutout will allow the safety to be installed. Get the safety in, put the safety on its original position as in fire. Pull back the hammer to reattach the slide. Needs to be aligned properly. There you go. Put back the trigger guard. And now we're ready for some function testing. Reinsert an empty magazine. With the safety on, I cannot fire. Safety off, I can fire. Rack the slide, it's being held back by the magazine. Remove the magazine. Pull back the slide, kind of works. It's getting cocked. I can use the decocker, so hammer is being put forward without actually firing. I'm gonna put it on fire again, and now I will fire. It sounds different, so we have a striker fire, and we're good to go.